Money. The game everyone plays, but few win. Extracting the knowledge from the top 1%. And teaching you the ever-changing rules of play. It's time to level up and take control of the money game.
Let's talk money.
Big money. Yes!
Sweet. All right. I'll get us started here. Welcome back to the Money Game. We got a special kind of old-time colleague and friend on the show today. How you doing, Bennet?
Good, man. How you doing?
Doing so good, dude. We appreciate you coming on and spending some time with us. I know you are busy building the cookie empire right now.
Yes. Having fun with cookies.
Dude, I love it. I love it. For some of you guys that don't follow Bennet or are unaware of the cookie wars or just the cookie craze all around the country right now, Bennet is the founder and actually no longer CEO. You brought in a CEO of Dirty Dough, right?
Mm-hmm. Correct, yeah.
Which we definitely want to talk about that. I think that's a really cool business tactic strategy that you're displacing yourself out of the business so fast. But obviously, anyone who's following the story right now knows you're like super deep in the cookie game and the cookie building, and there's so much craze and money and business and popularity around it. But I know, and I definitely want to get to how you actually got introduced and analyzed and executed on this. How, as you started building your business skill sets, what were some of the things, just kind of going back a couple of years, that actually like led to your capacity to be able to find and execute on this?
Sales / communication. You say sales and people are like, oh, I'm not a salesperson. It's like, no, I'm an expert communicator.
Yeah.
And everybody should learn to be an expert communicator. And then guess what? If you are, then you're also an expert salesperson. But sales or communication, whatever you want to phrase that. And also just the mindset that I learned pretty early on of work to learn, not to earn. Go for knowledge, build the skill set. Focus on who you're becoming and what you are learning rather than how much money you're earning. So I had both of those. I mean, the sales background is kind of forever, from elementary school to, lemonade stands, shaved ice stands on the corner, selling candy bars at school.
So you've been a hustler
I was knocking doors
day
in
back.
Junior high. Oh yeah, all the way back. Junior high, I was selling lawn aeration door to door. And then I was selling cookie dough to fund wrestling and rugby. That was, to either you have money or you sell cookie dough. And both of those I did all throughout high school. Same thing with football. We sold those like starving student discount cards.
Yeah.
And I also sold banners. I went and cold knocked businesses to say, hey, would you sponsor our football? Well, it's $500, whatever it was. We'll throw up a banner for the season, and then you pay for my football camp. So please.
So, I've got a question just on some of that. You said something, right? You either got money or you sell cookie dough. So I assumed, I don't know your childhood well at all. Like, what was money in the family? Obviously, you're out selling to fundraise for your own sports. Like, how did you come to the conclusion, like, dude, I can just go hustle and take care of myself?
I mean, that was the only option. I grew up single mom, 9 kids.
Okay.
There's not a lot of money in that. So do you want to go to football camp? It's $150. I don't have $150. Okay, go sell a banner. And those are my two options. Don't go or go sell a banner. I'm like, I don't know how to freaking talk to business owners. I'm 16 years old, but I thought, what the hell? I'm going to give it a go.
Dude, I love that.
It was actually like the second person I talked to, they bought. And I got good at playing that sympathy card, I guess. I'm like, please, I want to play football. I'm good, I promise. I just can't afford it. But yeah, so growing up, it was, if you want money, go figure it out.
Okay. And then that led, I know obviously how we met, it sounds like you've been knocking doors forever, but we met when you were professionally knocking doors in, smart home and then transitioned to solar. When did you get into that space? What was the progression there?
Yeah, I got in right when I came back from a 2-year LDS mission.
Mm.
You land back in Utah. That's where I'm from, and it's the door-to-door capital of the world. So I'm very fortunate that it is the door-to-door capital of the world. And the first business I did, the company I worked for was Protection One. I wanted to do sales, but my friends that I also was wanting to bring out with me, they didn't want to do sales. They said, it's too risky. So let's go do security installs. So the first summer was security installs in Baltimore, lasted 2 months. And I called a buddy up that was selling pest control in California, and he already made 10 grand. And I was like, that was my whole summer goal, is 10 grand, and you made it in 2 months. Like, can I please work for you? Like, begging him. He's like, I don't know. I'm going to check. Maybe there's a spot. I didn't know they accepted anybody at the time. I was like, dude, if you can find me a spot, I will literally drive from Baltimore to California. I'll leave tomorrow. And he called me back a few minutes later. He's like, yeah, dude, I got it. Are you for sure in? I'm like, I'm for sure in. So I drove from Baltimore out to California in a day's notice to go do sales, because I really wanted to take back I don't want somebody else. I don't want to depend on somebody else to make money. And installing, it's like, I can only install if the job's sold, or I can go knock an infinite amount of doors and figure it out. So I showed up to that first summer, or midway through. I ended up still being the top rookie in that office.
Wow.
And there's a few offices, I think, out there. Because when I showed up, I had the whole pitch memorized. I had every single objection memorized, the 3 different outcomes, because I went there with that mindset of, I'm going to be a professional salesperson. There's nothing that the top person is doing that I can't learn. I don't buy into the born salesperson mentality bullshit. I think nobody's born a doctor. Doctors make $250 or more a year. Nobody's born a doctor. Nobody's born a lawyer. Nobody's born a professional salesperson. It's a skill that is acquired. And that mindset came from reading a book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He talks about that. In your 20s, work to learn, not to earn. So I set off and I thought, if I don't make a dime, as long as I become an expert communicator, then I'm fine. And that was my mindset getting into it. So did 2 months with that, loved it. Next summer, I was like, okay, well, if I know how to sell, obviously I'm going to be an amazing manager. I recruited 40 dudes to move to North Carolina.
Oh.
Only to realize that because you're a good salesperson does not make you a good manager. I hated managing because I was terrible at it. But
it is a totally different jump. I definitely freaking remember the first time I went from like selling to running like 30 rookies on your own, and you're like, whoa. Because not everybody has the mindset that you just described, right? Not everybody comes in, hey, I'm a professional salesperson. No one else has got to watch after or babysit me. And those are guys that you just inherently win in whatever you go into with that type of mindset. But kind of just
100%.
Digging into that for a sec. Obviously, I'm sure you learned a ton of lessons, and we'll definitely chop that in. But when you came in with that mindset, what do you think was kind of the difference? Like, did you just inherently have that mindset to be able to say, like, dude, if anyone else can figure it out, I can? Or were there, other than Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which, did you read that before you went out? Or were there things that you were exposed to that, like, helped you understand, like, dude, these are skills that you can learn?
Read it before I went out.
Okay.
I also did Cutco. Did Cutco. That was my first, I showed up to an interview with like a shirt and a tie. And I was like, oh, I'm going to get my first real job out of high school. And it was $15 an hour. And I was stoked. They hired me. And they're like, training starts next week. It's $15 an hour or commission, whichever one's higher. I was like, sweet. Training's next week. It's 40 hours. And I was like, awesome. How do I get onboarded and paid, or whatever the questions were? And they're like, oh, you don't get paid for training. I was like, what? What kind of scam is this? Like, you're not going to pay me for 40 hours? I'm not doing it then. And I grew up with my mom, but my dad was still around. So I told my dad, hey, I'm not going to do the job. Because I'm not going to go work for 40 hours for free. Like, what the freak? That's a scam. And he goes, there's people that tens of thousands of dollars for sales training, and you're going to get it for free and you're going to turn it down. And I was like, oh, this is free sales training.
Yeah.
So that was another mindset shift. And then the Rich Dad, Poor Dad was another one. And I don't know. I mean, I was going to college, and there's all these professions out there that you have to get degrees for. And I decided after I sold pest control for 2 months, I made $24,000. And I was like, sweet, this is great.
Yeah.
Next summer I'm going to make more money. And if I expect to make more money, if I'm making $12,000 a month as a rookie, and I expect to make that plus more, then I need to dedicate the same amount of time as I was going to become a doctor, because I was doing pre-med. I was one semester away from graduating before I dropped out. And I was going to go to 8 years of school, 3 years of residency, $200,000 in debt to make $250 a year. Well, the second summer I went out, I made $250 in 4.5 months.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, again, further evidence, I guess, that if I'm going to make more money than a doctor in less amount of time, I need to be committed to the same level of education that I was in traditional schooling. And I was just a freaking animal for sales knowledge, like podcasts, books. I was repeating. I mean, I didn't even like driving out with people, and I like driving out an hour because I just listened to things and I'd pause it and then I'd repeat it to myself and then pause it and then repeat it to myself, then rewind it. And I gave up music for a few years because music wasn't going to help me progress.
I definitely did that. People think I'm crazy. I remember my second year coming in, everyone would get in the car with me like, dude, can we please turn the book off? And I'm like, dude, I'm freaking trying to figure something out, dude. You're just going to have to suck it up for a second because I need to learn something here.
And that's the difference. So, and I'm super grateful that I adopted that mindset of like, we can listen to music and then an hour later, nothing has progressed. I mean, yeah, you know, there's benefit in entertainment. I'm not going to downplay that.
Oh, yeah.
Before, I just ignored it. You know, entertainment, I don't care. I need to be a professional salesperson. If you want to be a professional at something, you know, people say 10,000 hours.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to spend 10,000 hours over 10 years or over 3 years or over 50 years? Because you learn, and as you learn, then your ability to make money goes up. And then you learn and your ability to make money goes up and up and up and up. So why not start up here, right? Why not start learning as you're, and then you make so much more money quicker if you learn quicker. So that was just very clear to me, and I think it should be clear to everybody, right? But it's not. That's just how my brain thinks. It's like, well, of course,
yeah.
If after 1,000 hours of studying, I'm going to become, 80% efficient, I'm going to do 1,000 hours tomorrow. Because if I'm going to freaking knock doors every day, I may as well know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So I'm not wasting my time. So I just ate up all the knowledge I can get.
This is kind of a side tangent, but you said something that like sparked the thought and the question. I know I get asked this a ton, so I'd be interested to hear your perspective. You're going to medical school, or you're getting ready to go to medical school, right? You're pre-med, and you just make $250,000, and you just said, the more you learn, the more you earn, which I think I couldn't agree more. But I feel you and we both dropped out of school and pursued sales entrepreneurial journeys, and I feel that there is more actual learning that is correlated to earning outside of school in the formal education standpoint, unless you're going pre-med, dentist, lawyer or engineering. How did you analyze and like come to grips with the fact like, hey, I think that there's this whole self-education, there's this business education, life education side that I can get faster?
I had a stupid history class. So what is this helping me with? I enjoyed the science classes. I enjoyed chemistry and biology. They were tough, but I do like the science behind it all. But how's that making me a better husband, father, breadwinner, business owner? It's not,
Yeah.
So can I still learn that today? Yeah, you can go to Khan Academy. That's really what I was, you go to a boring lecture and then you go back to Khan Academy and online, and then it teaches you everything. And if I want to go learn biology today, I can.
Yeah.
But why am I going to have somebody else dictate how much I can learn, at what pace I can learn, when I've learned it, when I can move on, when I haven't? It's like, no, I'm going to decide that. I know me more than anybody else, so I'm going to put my trust in me, not in professor.
Dude, I love that. Do you feel that that's something like, at least I feel, and I know as you went into management, I'm sure we've all experienced this, that people have a really hard time like jumping that gap of betting on their own ability to learn faster than like on their own, directed, channeled, than they can in an institution with somebody just giving them A, B, C, D. Have you found anything that's like, hey, help somebody bridge that gap? Because I feel like most of us as entrepreneurs are trying to figure out how to get people to jump that thing quicker.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is inherent into your drive and your motivation. Why do I have more drive than somebody else? I don't know. It's genetics and environment, neither of which I controlled. So I can't give an answer to that.
Yeah.
I got fortunate that I have this and it's brought me financial success. I'm unfortunate that I have it because sometimes I work too much, right? There's trade-offs to everything. Um, Seeing people, I guess, to answer this latter part of the question, how do you help other people see that and bet on themselves? Um, it's kind of just go try it. Like you have to go try it. Why? I mean, how much money are you? What's your salary? You tell me your salary, then that's how much you're worth. It's like, so what if you want to make more money? Are you going to go interview for other jobs? Maybe you ask for a 10% raise. What if you want to, what if you want to 10x your income like I did? You know, I went from 24,000 to 250,000 in a year.
It's
I
crazy.
can't do that unless I'm the one who determines how much I make.
Yeah.
And just really seeing that, I think it's easy to see if you present it correctly. The harder part is being brave enough to take the leap. And then to bridge that gap, it's again, show me any sales technique that somebody making $1 million is using that I can't learn. Show me one.
I like that.
Yeah. You know, I can learn how to build rapport. I can learn how to adjust the tonality and the speed of my pitch and how to set up anchors, and I can learn all of that. There's nothing out there, and people need to also learn that. There's a big thing of you're born as a salesperson or you're not.
I hate that.
No, you're not. No, you're not. Again, show me any skill from the best salesperson in the world that's making 10 million a year on sales. Show me what skills they're doing that I'm not able to learn. And when you phrase it like that, who's going to disagree with you? Right? It's a different mindset. And if you phrase it correctly, then it gets other people thinking, maybe I can learn that. And how quickly can you learn that compared to how quickly can you be a doctor? Then it's even like, ooh, that's exciting. Not only can I learn it, yes, it's hard, but I can learn a hell of a lot quicker than it takes me to be, you know, even an accounting degree at 4 years. Like I can learn to be a professional salesperson way quicker than that.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I agree with a ton of your stuff you're saying. And then just jumping back into your story, obviously, I think everyone's at this point, it's like, okay, dude, you just made $250,000 your second year. Like, you're kind of killing the game at a really young age, and you start scaling up. At what point do you start looking and saying, hey, I'm making this crazy money in sales? And I think this is a question a lot of people start to ask themselves is, how do I know when I'm good enough to like go start my own venture, or should I just be content like where I'm at? Because obviously you're making great money. You really are your own boss in the type of sales that we're in, and you have pretty good control over your capacity to create income. But how did you know, hey, now's the time in my life that this pivot actually makes sense and I'm capable to execute?
This is going to go against most sales managers' advice, at least. You're the 80-20 principle, right? I'm going to learn, if I work for Ty, I'm going to learn 80% of what you have to offer me in the first 6 months, right? I can be with you for 10 years and learn 95% of what you have to teach me in 10 years. Or I can go find 10 mentors in a matter of 6 years and work for them each for 6 months and get 80% of the knowledge. So I was one of the business owners called me a puddle jumper because I sold pest control for Aptiv or Altera at the time for 2 months. Then I switched over to Sage, did a full summer. Then I thought, okay, well, I know I could go make $250,000 again, but I didn't like it. I didn't like pest control. I didn't love it. I didn't love the management style, so I'm going to try something else and risk that money. But if I can now go learn to sell satellite door to door and AT&T and learn from a different set of leadership in a different company, who cares if I don't make 250? What if I only make 100? What if I only make 50? Like, but how much more am I going to learn? Okay, so that was the second year, or I guess my third year in the summer. So 2 months with Aptiv, 5 months with Sage. The next year I did 2 months with, I forgot the name of the company, Excite Satellite.
Okay.
Just 2 months with them. It was a sub dealer for AT&T. AT&T changed pay structure. Anyways, I got recruited to Vivint halfway through that summer. So same thing, Can I make more money if I stay out with satellite? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Am I going to learn more switching to Vivint and selling a new product under new leadership, under new entity? 100% will. So I did Vivint for 2 months, and I think I sold like 160 accounts or something. Made great money on personal sales in those 2 months. And then the next year, I went out again with Vivint to do the full summer. Same thing, it was great. And I made over $250,000 again. And then solar presented itself. And I thought, I don't even need to recruit anymore to make 250 at Vivint, selling door to door. Well, that's cool. I don't have to recruit 40 dudes. I could just go out myself and make that much money.
Yeah.
So why would I risk it all for solar? Because solar installs are so long and solar summers don't exist and blah, 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 blah. 80-20 principle. What am I going to learn more as a person that's going to benefit me long term? I don't care about the difference between 50 grand and 250 grand when you're 23.
You don't need it.
50 grand is all you need to live whatever life you need to live, or 70 grand, whatever the number is. Who am I becoming? Okay. So again, I risked it all again because I saw solar as a more professional sell. I suck at follow-up. I hate follow-up. I love the door-to-door. I'm going to talk to you for 10 minutes. You're going to sign a pest control contact. Bye. I'm not even giving you my freaking number. I don't want you calling me. I love that. But that's not professional sales. That's not professional communication. That's not professional business.
Yeah.
Solar is a month-long process that everybody it takes a month to install a solar account. They can cancel any time. So you have to remain in contact, blah, 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 all of which I hate. But I'm like, but I need to learn that. So of course I'm going to do it. Because if I want to do medical devices, I don't know what I want to sell.
Yeah.
What is more similar to professional sales? Is it solar or is it Bennet? It was solar, hands down. So I went and did solar, did it for 2 months, loved it. Again, making more money in less time without recruits. And then at that point, I thought, I can do this myself, kind of. It was my brother that called me and he said, hey, how's it going? I said, made 50 grand working 4 hours a day, in my first month, not knowing what I'm doing. He goes, how about let's do it online? So we did a little bit of tests here and there, hired some people out of the Philippines, hired another guy to do leads. So leads would come in, people out of the Philippines that I trained would call them and say, hey, we can give you a free solar proposal, blah, blah, blah. I need your utility bill. They set the appointment. They confirmed the appointment the day of. I drive out to the appointment. I did 18 appointments in this trial run. I closed 16 of them the first sit. Wow. You're making like 8 to 10 grand an appointment, right? I closed the 17th one on the second sit, and I never got the 18th one. And I was like, I didn't even have to knock a door for this.
Wow.
I just had to pay, a few grand and spend time on training. Okay, now let's go scale this. So I was fortunate that I have a brother that's 13 years older than me. That's all he's ever done is entrepreneurship. He bought a franchise when he was like 22 years old. And that's just all he's ever done. So I found a really good partner. Yeah. On that first business. Within 18 months, we built and sold that company. And then that gave me even more courage to go do the next business, which was Dirty Dough, which I know you introduced me as the founder, because that's my title, but I didn't found it. I purchased it. And then I franchised it and scaled it. And now we're one of the largest, fastest growing franchises, not only today, but in the history of retail franchises. Wow. And all of those other things gave me that confidence to kind of take that next step.
Dude, it's so interesting because I feel like in our space, and a ton of dudes who've come from this space, there's so many people that go through the door-to-door sales route and then go start something. And I feel like there's just no coincidence of the mindsets, the grit, just the determination that people get to figure out how to win. If you can knock on somebody's door at cold contact and make $250,000 in a summer, you can probably go figure out how to get some revenue in your doors of your business.
Yeah.
And then
it's the risk it mentality, right? It's the bet on yourself mentality. Commission only sells. That's what it is. Commission only sells, gets you immune to no's. It doesn't get you immune to no's. I still get nervous about it. If you asked me to go sell solar today, I would get anxiety around it.
But you just do it anyway.
I'd sweat and I'd because it's like, what if I lost my sales ability? Whatever happens in mine. But either way, I know after knocking tens of thousands of doors and getting tens of thousands of no's and still being alive, that I can handle a few more.
Yeah. Dude, I love that. And I think that I don't own any franchise. I do a ton of real estate, bigger, like multifamily commercials on the side, but I feel like my courage from door to door has really helped me in that arena of just like, dude, I don't know all the elements, but I'll figure it out along the way, and I'll find a way to move without like putting myself in a situation where shit will just hit the fan.
Yeah. That, and the problem solving, I mean, dude, knocking doors and they're in contracts with ADT and you're calling ADT, what's the buyout, and you're writing them a check, you're like, whatever. And they're like, oh, but this camera, and it's like, oh, well, the Vivint camera is too expensive. I'm going to buy you a camera off of Amazon and install it because there's no monthly fee and it's still a 1080 camera and blah, 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 blah. It's, you figure it out and you get the sell done. And then that's what entrepreneurism is. You figure it out, you know? So it's just that problem solving that I think carries over, and why so many entrepreneurs are coming from that space.
Dude, that makes so much, you just articulate it so well, because it is so funny when you start to think about like when you really become good at closing and some of the things that you come up with in a customer's home, you're like, that's not in the framework, that's not in that. You're like, dude, you're just so committed to serving somebody, and you're like, we just have to find whatever scenario makes this make sense. And there's some missing puzzle piece. Dude.
Yee cameras, YI cameras on Amazon. You buy 4 of them for $120. They literally, I mean, I use them myself because I was using them as baby monitors. There's no monthly fee, and it's night vision, you know, 2-way communication, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, hey, let me give you 4 cameras at no cost to you. It is going to be a different app. It's not part of a Vivint system. This is a Bennet system that I'm going to order for you and install from Amazon. This is a custom
deal with us.
It has nothing to do with Vivint. You can't call Vivint support for this.
Yeah.
But now I can get you 4 cameras plus your doorbell camera on a separate app and your security system. You're going to be paying $60 for that and nothing for the cameras. It only cost me $110 or $120, and you know, I made $800 on the deal.
Yeah, it's an easy exchange.
I was Yee Cameras #1 freaking supplier, dude.
You're wholesaling Yee Cameras. Dude, that's freaking awesome. And then just obviously, dude, so you're crushing the game. You're learning all these skill sets. You're learning sales. You're learning everything. But then, dude, you pivot into cookies. You buy a cookie franchise. Like, what possesses you at this point? You're playing in smart home, pests, solar, all of these direct-to-consumer products. How do you then say, okay, all of the skill sets that I have, let's go throw it into this cookie arena?
I mean, what does pest and satellite have to do with each other? And satellite and smart home and solar. The only commonality is sales and primary marketing from door to door. They're all different. So again, and this was in 2015, I started pest control, and 2019, I worked for that solar company.
Okay.
So this is 4 years, 5 years.
Well, it's a lot quicker than I thought.
5 years, I worked for 4 different companies selling 4 different products or 3 different products. How much confidence does that give me? Right. So again, could I have made more money if I stuck with the pest control and grew a region and that? 100% I could have. But can I be sitting on a company that's worth, you know, tens of millions of dollars now if I would have played the short game? No, because I wouldn't have had the confidence to do it. So that's where that 80-20 principle of jump around, get as much information and as much skill as you can, and realize that always the value is front loaded. And no matter what you do, you'll always gain more value in the first few months compared to 10 years. So take as much value as you can and then move on to the next. Realizing that you're still leaving value on the table, but that's okay because you're going to learn faster in a different organization selling a different product.
That's interesting.
So that gave me just a lot of confidence, because I've still never made a batch of cookies, but it's the same thing, right? You have a product, and you sell it, and then you perform it and make sure that the service is good. And I just listened to a podcast that said true wealth is buying real estate and businesses. And I had maybe a handful of rental properties at the time, never purchased a business. So I just rolled the dice, and I thought, what the hell, I'm going to try it. Again, what is this cookie guy doing that I'm buying this business from? What does he know that I can't learn?
Yeah.
Nothing. Like, I truly believe there's nothing that he was doing that I can't learn. And that's just my attitude. So I feel like I can go learn anything. I just have to assess how much I believe I have to learn, how long it'll take me to learn that, and then is the compensation worth that trade-off?
Yeah. And then obviously you come in, and I know I've I've talked to you personally about your franchise, but you not only like learned it, but you really disrupted and innovated upon a model. Obviously, the crumble, the chips, all the insomnia cookies, but you made it. You went away from the owner operated. You wanted to be more of owning a business. How did you come in? You know, obviously you ran a solar company, but how do you build out that model? What's the process? How do you like become a franchiser?
Yeah. Ask 100 people. Good advice from everybody. There's this notion that sometimes goes around of you have a business idea, but you don't want to talk about it because what if somebody's going to steal your business idea? I got fortunate that I took a startup course and he said, that's stupid. Tell everybody your idea, even if you're patent pending, even if you don't have patents, even if other people can do it, who freaking cares? Nobody's going to copy you. If they had the drive to do it, they would have already done it anyway. Nobody's just waiting for the best idea and they're like, oh, I'm going to jump on that. You know,
that's actually pretty good.
Way before I was a franchise, I told everybody what I was doing. Hey, I just bought this cookie company. I'm going to franchise it. I'm going to centralize the production to reduce labor. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to reduce cost by half. I'm going to reduce labor in half. I'm going to increase the quality of the cookie and do the world's first 3-layer cookie. What do you think? Would you buy a franchise? Yes, I would, but that's too expensive, or that's bad, or that market this. And I just get massive amounts of feedback. And then, oh, I don't know how to do that, but hey, I know somebody else who does. Hey, I know somebody else who does. And then one of the guys who helped me out a ton was the owner of Everbowl. And I just hit him up on Instagram. And I said, hey, about this company, I'm interested in franchising it. And, you know, we both live in San Diego. Love to meet up. And he said, okay.
Wow.
So I met up with him and he said, that idea is terrible. Because my first idea was I was going to sell you 5 franchises. That first franchise is going to be your production facility. But you have to run it as a franchisee. You have to buy the machines that are a few $100,000. Then you have to buy the trucks to then deliver to your other 5 stores, because that's never going to work. So I'm glad I got his feedback.
Yeah.
Before I actually franchised it. And then I bought on advisors. I built an advisory board, giving them equity of you give advisors typically a half, maybe a 0.25% to 1.5% over a 2-year vesting period.
I'm bamboozled at the point, because at this point though, right, like you just DM a guy who's the owner of Everbowl, who is just like a flourishing franchise, and he just kind of like, I don't know, I could call it sheer luck, or like just the magnetic,
yes,
you're dominating, so that he's just like, dude, I'll take a sit with you. But are you hiring coaches? Are you participating in mentorship programs at this point? Like, because you're in not a completely new arena, but like, how do you get introduced to these people?
Board. The first guy I got was a guy that I took a course from, and he's teaching me. And his first company was valued at $31 billion when it went public. It was called InfoSpace.
Holy crap!
And then he did Omniture. He was an investor and advisor that sold to Adobe for $1.8 billion, and a lot of other companies at several hundred million. And he's saying you got to build a board of advisors. And it's like, well, I can't afford that. I don't have a profitable company. You don't need a profitable company. You just need to get people, and you give them equity, a 0.25% to 1.5%. And it's like, well, that's worth nothing. I don't have a profitable company, you know, but can I pitch them on the vision of what I can potentially become? So I got him as an advisor, and I gave him a 1.5% of a company that was worth nothing, right? And that 1.5% is still subject to a 2-year vesting period, and he hasn't been with me for 2 years. He's amazing, but if he ceased to serve the company and serve me as the business owner, then I can say, hey, John, thank you for everything that you've done. It's been a year. So instead of getting, but I'm letting you go as an advisor, I only have to give him a half of that equity, because only half of it's vested.
Yeah.
So I would only end up parting with, 0.75% equity. Anyways, I gave him a 1.5% that he will earn over the 2 years, because he's doing a phenomenal job. Then he says, hey, I have a buddy that I was his advisor. He owns Property Management Inc. It's the largest property management franchise in the nation. Would you be interested in having him as an advisor? Hell yeah, I would. Hook it up.
Put us in a group message.
He came on as an advisor. And then got another guy that has the largest franchise podcast in the nation, in the world, and the largest franchise mastermind group in the world, and franchisee mastermind group in the world, and got him as an advisor, and then I also hit up Jill, who's our CEO, And I asked her to be advisor because she's been in the game for 40 years as CEO of a franchisor brand in the food space.
Jeez.
Like, how more niche can you get? And I was like, Jill, I need another advisor. And she goes, you don't need another advisor. You need me to run this. And I said, is that an option? She says, yes. She goes, I'm bored where I'm at. And I was like, all right, when can we start? And didn't have money to pay her, but I still owned my solar company. So I thought, okay, after we negotiated salary and commissions and all of that, and I was like, okay, well, I still don't have money to pay her unless I start selling franchises this month. Are more people going to buy franchises with her being the face of the company or me? Her, of course. This is, again,
she's seasoned. She got a track record.
She's opened up 800 franchises in the food, and of course they're going to trust her. Now, what if they don't, though? And what if my plan fails and now I'm stuck paying her salary and I can't afford it? I'm going to go knock doors because my time is better spent knocking doors, paying an expert to run my company than me trying to figure it out, right? Because I don't know how to do it. So luckily, I never had to knock another door, though, because we started selling franchises. And fast forward 16 months, we sold 335 franchises.
Holy cow.
It worked. It worked. The plan worked, right? It's get experts in there and take advice. Talk to freaking everybody you meet. Tell them what you're doing.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to do what I did because it cost $2 million before we opened up a freaking franchise. Nobody's going to go invest that amount of money on a model that hasn't been proven yet, but I did because I saw the vision and I believed in it. I'll tell you exactly, I'll tell everybody every single step that I did to create Dirty Dough. Nobody's going to go do it though, because they don't have the ability to drive the nerve, the balls, whatever, the craziness that I had.
Oh, dude, I think there's a whole mix of stuff. I'm taking notes as you're talking about this. Like, dude, the first thing that comes to mind is obviously, I don't know if you've ever read the book Nail It Then Scale It.
No, I've heard of it. I
kind of
I need to throw that on my list.
Yeah, dude, it's super good. Just case studies on why certain businesses fail or succeed, and you maybe you just like accidentally stumbled. I think the door-to-door space kind of like breeds it into you because it's just like just go hit until you learn to pitch. But basically, the whole principle of beta test everything before you actually build, and then beta test the next step before you actually build, and get all the counsel advice, and kind of just like stress test as much as you can before you like invest as much. But your creativity throughout the process is crazy. I do want to unpack a little bit though. So you end up buying a course from this dude who owns a $31 billion company. And I think this is a piece. And then from what you said, it sounded like that kind of like chain reacted into a bunch of networking that ultimately led to like Jill, who now is running the CEO. And it's like, these are the people that became your Avengers team to build Dirty Dough. Walk me through, like, when did you, I mean, I'm sure it's a lot of the same mindset, but I think a lot of people have this connotation like, man, I'll pay for coaching, I'll pay for all that stuff or relationships, or I'll network when I'm a guy, like when I'm that dude that these people want to do. How did you like jump into that space and like, dude, I need to meet these people. I'm good enough to meet these people. I'm good enough to speak and do business with these people. How'd you like cross that threshold?
Take mushrooms, dude. Get into your mind and figure out your mindset. I'm only half joking on that. I started seeing a therapist when I sold my solar company.
Okay.
Because I realized very quickly that I was still overworking. And I told myself I was working nights and weekends because it was going to be worth it, because then I was going to sell the solar company and then I was going to have cash plus my rental properties and the passive investment. And with that cash, then I have more free time, which I'm going to then vacation with my family, and being with my family makes me happy. 2 weeks later, I'm working nights and weekends. And it's like, what the hell was the last 5 years of grinding my ass off for if I have everything I wanted and I'm still
doing
sacrificing my health and my relationships? So that caused me to start looking inward on myself and my mindset, coming up with a mission statement of who I am, what are my core values, what is my legacy. I wrote my own obituary. What am I going to be known for when I'm dead? I asked lots of close friends and family, tell me what my core values are. The number one core value was hard work. Hard work is not my core value, though. I don't care. I don't value hard work. I think Pablo Escobar probably wasn't the nicest guy, killed a lot of people, but he was a hard worker.
Worked super
right?
hard, yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of hard workers out there. Hitler was probably hard work was probably on the top of his list as well. I don't value that though. What I valued after getting a therapist and looking inward was I'm here for joy and fulfillment. I want to have a joyful life and I want to be fulfilled. I think you need both of those. And I threw in despite life's dirtiness. Despite life's dirtiness, one, it's a play on words with dirty dough, but two, it's life's not going to be perfect. Do not wait for life to be perfect in order to find the joy and fulfillment. And it has to be had every day. It has to be had now. So my mission statement is to find joy and fulfillment despite life's dirtiness in myself and others. I need to focus on myself first. Then I'm going to help as many people as possible. That was a big mindset shift. And then when I go to these advisors or CEOs or investors, it's clear. This is my mission statement, and to find as much joy and fulfillment as possible for myself and for as many people as I can. It's built on two pillars. One is mental health. If you want to be happy and fulfilled, it's all in your mind. So it's all around mental health. And if you look at our company, everything's mental health related. We care about your feelings. That's the first thing you see when you walk into a dirty dough. And it's cute, it's fun, it's playful. And then it says, and then as soon as you walk in, you see what's on the inside matters most. And we do 2-layer cookies, 3-layer cookies, stuffed cookies. And it's fighting against the Instagram effect of here's the perfect life of what your buddy's living, which is false and fake. But our brains, our subconscious doesn't know that. And we're like, shoot, I'm not where Ty's at on social media. I'm going to feel bad about myself. And then, that's anxiety, depression, sadness. So we're going against this. Dirty dough is not a good looking, it's not a perfect looking cookie, but it's sure as hell good. The sweetness is on the inside. And then we partnered that with Life is Sweet Foundation, and we're funding a wellness center for every franchise we open.
That's so
a
cool.
Mindfulness room in a K-12 school to help kids identify emotions and then what they can do to regulate emotions, whether it's guided meditation, breathing exercises, gratitude cards, coloring, a fidget spinner, whatever works for you. I'm going to educate millions of kids in these mindfulness rooms. But that's clear. That's a vision. That's my first pillar. My second pillar in finding joy and fulfillment is entrepreneurism. That's what I'm passionate about, and it's given me so much empowerment. How can I help as many people as possible be an entrepreneur? Well, what does it take to be an entrepreneur? You need a game plan, you need time, money, and expertise. How do I simplify all of that so more people can be entrepreneurs? Well, I've created the most simple franchise model in the food industry that's ever existed. In my opinion, nobody's fought me with it, but it really is. You grab a cookie puck that we ship to you, we make, put it in the oven, give it to a customer, like one employee, less than 1,000 square feet. So the game plan, boom, solid. How much time does it require to run this business? Number one time consumption for businesses is employees typically. Well, we've reduced the labor by half because there's no more mixing, there's no more hand weighing, there's no more, it's just what I said, cookie, oven, give it to customer. So we only have 1 or 2 employees. So the time required is a lot less. The money, you don't need a big space. You don't need to store raw ingredients. You don't need mixers. We do all of that for you. So now we're less than half the cost of a competition. What about the expertise? You do not need to be an expert baker because you will never measure flour, right? I've completely taken that out of the mix. So that's the second pillar is how can we empower people through entrepreneurism by lowering the barrier of entry and allowing more people to take control and take that leap to say, hey, you can be an entrepreneur. Maybe you can be an entrepreneur, I should say, in this model, and it's a lot easier. And then maybe that's going to give them confidence to either go to a different business venture or maybe scale and buy multiple of these stores. But I've taken forever to answer your question, but that was my mission because I looked inward on who I wanted to be and who I wanted to be known for when I died. And then I got clarity on the pillars and all of that. And how did it all come? Well, I was on 100 podcasts as a guest, and every time I say it, it gets better and better and better.
Clarity as you talk about it.
Sounds clear. Yes, and again, I talk to everybody about it, and it just flows. And people want to see a vision and clarity. Doesn't matter if you have a business that's nothing. If you know where you want to be, you don't need to know how you're going to do it necessarily, but you know what you want to be, and you have a good cause. You believe in your cause, and you're passionate. People will get behind it because they can sense that passion. And I am 1,000% passionate about what I'm doing. Like, I feel like I can change millions of lives through giving people a good income stream and teaching people about mental health, both of which are going to lead to more joy and fulfillment.
Dude, I like that a ton. I know we're getting short on time. You said something that's interesting. You're super, super passionate about entrepreneurism, and I feel that your whole story is a scale of your journey as an entrepreneur, and it's obviously brought you some fulfillment and some clarity. And I personally have a lot of very, very positive feelings about pushing people to be entrepreneurs. In just kind of closing, what do you think it is about like being an entrepreneur, or that you've learned in an entrepreneurial journey, that brings fulfillment, or that is kind of like the root of that passion?
Creativity and creation, right? If I can go come up with an idea and execute on the idea, maybe I failed, but at least I learned, and I'm becoming a better person, and I'm evolving as an entrepreneur. Again, I as long as I have that mindset, every decision I make is good, right? Because if it was a bad decision, I learned from it, which is therefore a good decision. If it was a good decision, it made me money, or got me more clients, or whatever I needed. But I can't lose if I'm focusing on progression, right? So, and I think entrepreneurism it's all about progression.
Yeah.
At least in my mind is.
I agree.
I can't really speak to a W-2 job. So, I could just speak to the entrepreneurism, but I imagine it's a little bit harder as a W-2 to be like, hey, I want to go create my own thing. I want to go problem solve and trial and error and create something that's mine. I don't feel like that happens that much.
No, I agree. I think the last thing you said, for me at least, I think a lot of my passion is in the progress. And then this sounds kind of weird, and I am a little careful the way I say it, but control. I feel like I have this desire, like I want to have the option to go big and to impact at any time I want to, and just to do anything I want, go as far as I want, and find out like what I'm made of. I don't know if you resonate with that at all, or
100%. If I'm working, even if I'm the C-level executive, can I say that I'm going to open up 1,000 wellness centers within 5 years, along with 1,000 open franchises, empower hundreds of franchisees with great business models, and educate millions of kids? How can I say that if I'm not an entrepreneur? I don't think I can.
Yeah.
Like that's the only way to get a vision big enough and then get confidence. And every time I say it, the vision gets a little bit bigger and I get more confident in it. But for me, I love it.
Dude,
I absolutely love it.
I love it. Well, just in closing remarks, and we want to get you out of here, dude. I've taken a ton of notes, and there's a ton of nuggets in here from your story and just your journey. But just for the audience, there's a lot of people that are, starting their sales journey, starting their entrepreneurial journey, or they're like thinking about it. That would be a lot of the target audience, people just trying to find the way. What would just be kind of your closing remarks that you would give to somebody, hey, as you're starting this, just if you can put yourself in this frame, or just your closing remarks that would give somebody an edge as they're getting in there?
Yeah. The work to learn, not to earn is huge.
I was hoping you'd say
Really,
that. I thought that was so good.
Door, you knock the door. We both don't get to sell. I don't get to sell because I get the objection of, you're the 12th solar guy that knocked on my door. You don't get to sell. I don't know why you don't get to sell, right? But what am I going to do? I'm working to learn, not to earn. So my next approach, I'm going to knock the door and say, hey, I know I'm the 12th guy at your door, but blah, 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 blah. Guess what they're not going to say to me? I could guarantee you they're never going to say to me. They're not going to say, hey, you're the 12th guy that knocked on my door. Well, no shit. I just said that, right? So I'm constantly, I don't see that last sell as a failure. I see it as a learning point to now craft a better pitch so I can help more people go green, save money with $0 down, because I was very passionate about solar as well.
Dude, I love it.
That mindset is super important.
I love it. That would be, from all this, I think, a huge takeaway for everybody listening. And if there's anything that we talked about, if you want to learn more about Dirty Dough, where can people follow you or keep track of all the massive stuff that you're doing, bro?
I have a website, Bennet Maxwell, first and last name, Bennett, BennettMaxwell.com, and then it has links to all my socials on there. I do post, 1 or 2 times a day, try to really push out good content, encouraging people on mental health, work-life balance. I kind of got into that a little bit, but I don't work past 5. I don't work weekends anymore. I'm not a workaholic.
That's incredible.
I spend time with my family and put them first, and I'm very proud of that. Same thing with great relations with friends. But I put out content daily on all of this, as well as building businesses and advisory boards and investing and all of that. And then dirtydough.com, if anybody's interested in franchising, you can apply there.
Love it, dude. Well, we appreciate you coming on and sharing some time with us, and we'll catch you guys next time on The Money Game.
Make sure to like, rate, and review. And we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hit us up on social media.
Real money. Real money? Money is the answer.
Y'all be cool. And we'll see you next time on The Money Game.
Money. Yes!